All right, welcome back to video 12 now. This is a continuation of the rendering techniques that we've been looking at. Here's the original one I painted, and the sky dried pretty well, so I didn't mess with that at all. Here is the one we're working on right now, and it's looking like it's drying pretty well too, so I'm probably not going to change this one up. I did realize that I missed this little spot underneath here, so I painted that with the same color blue and tried to get it kind of close to what this is looking like. So we're going to put this aside again. The foliage is still wet, but it's starting to get some really nice happy mistakes happening in here, and some of the sedimentary colors are fitting into the pits. The evergreen looks fine. The normative tree was getting a little bit of a hard edge between the lower part and the upper part, so all I did was bring in some more of this lighter green, this kind of chartreusey, yellowy green, and added some more of that to the top, so to even that out. The same thing's kind of happening here. If I let this go, it's going to look like this tree bled into that one. So I'm going to have to redo this one a little bit. I'm liking the way the sediment is filling into the pits here, so I'm not going to mess with that. This one seems to be doing all right, but this one I don't like the way this is a hard edge bleeding into the next tree, so I'm going to get some of this middle green going and even that out a little bit. Pull up maybe some of this bottom stuff. And now that gives us a hard edge here, so I have to come in with a more light yellowish green to kind of fill out the top again. See how I did that? I just kind of evened out that what was going to be probably a bad mistake. So watercolor is all about trying to pick your battles, and you're allowing mistakes to happen, but you have to kind of recognize which one is drying the way you like and leave it, and which one is drying in an adverse way, and you have to just add more water and repair it. So we're going to let those sit a little bit longer again. And now we're going to come down here to the shrubs. And I do this in the same way, but I leave holes in the shrubs so I can add some cool little flowers or some sort of foliage. Could be bougainvillea, could be rose bushes, whatever you want. But I'm going to start the same way. I'm going to hit the tops. It's kind of lemony, yellowish green. See how I'm leaving holes in the tops? Then the bottom, I'm not going to have any kind of flowers down there because the flowers tend to go up towards the sun. So I'm going to keep the darker stuff down low here. This is more of our evergreen green. And you see, you just sort of sketch it with your pencil. You're not trying to get too accurate because you're going to do most of the work with the paint. And now I'm going to continue doing this, but I'm going to leave these holes in the middle of it. And you'll see why in a sec here. So by leaving those holes, I now can take my detail brush and get some really bright color, an orange or a red maybe, and just start adding flowers into the mix here. And some of them you can put in these holes in the middle and let them bleed together. Some of them you want to have sort of hanging out on top. And just kind of mix them all around. Just kind of create an abstract amount of foliage and color. If we were landscape architects here, we might be really focusing on every last leaf of these trees and really drawing these trees as accurately as possible, but we're treating them as kind of background fodder for the main subject, which was for us the architecture. And so we're kind of letting all of this foliage kind of become large biomass that lets the architecture come forward. So that's foreground foliage. I do this last because you don't want to have to paint something over this and then let that red bleed into it. So do this as your absolute last. This you can do kind of right after you've done the sky, after the sky is dried. So this is still drying pretty well. This is looking nice in here. These dried nicely, and this is looking like it's going to turn out pretty good as well. You can also move the color around by just treating it like one of those puzzles that, you know, you try and get the ball around and get into the, without falling into the hole. And that's the same kind of idea. You just move the paint around by, you know, moving the canvas. The last thing I'm going to show you here on this page, aside from the bark and the trees, is the people. So for people, I just sketched out some, you know, outlines of people, different sizes, different genders. And all I do is just get a couple of different colors going, just to kind of highlight what we're doing on the painting. You know, we're not going to have a lot of color, so we're just going to throw a little bit in at the people level.